It started with a text from my stepmother. "Come to the study alone." I walked in, expecting another lecture about family unity or chores left undone. Instead, she sat behind my father's desk, a stack of legal papers in front of her, her expression colder than I'd ever seen. She didn't waste time on pleasantries. "You need to sign these," she said, sliding the documents across the polished wood. "It's for the good of the family. Your father and I agree. It's best if you give up your $500,000 share. You don't really need it, do you?" Her voice was smooth, almost rehearsed, but her eyes were hard. I stared at the papers, my name printed in bold, the sum staring back at me like a threat. My hands shook, but I kept my face blank. The pressure in the room was suffocating. I realized, in that moment, this wasn't just about money. It was about erasing me, making sure I had no claim, no voice, no future. I looked up at her, feeling the shock settle into something sharper. If she wanted a battle, she'd get one. I wasn't signing anything. Not without a fight when my father remarried. Our house changed in ways I couldn't explain. My stepmother arrived with a smile and a suitcase full of new rules. Suddenly, the living room was filled with her laughter and her children's voices, while my own presence seemed to shrink. She never raised her voice or openly criticized me, but her favoritism was a constant shadow. Her children got the biggest slices of cake, the best seats at the table, and the loudest praise for the smallest achievements. I became the afterthought, the one who was always asked to take the family photo, never to be in it. She was a master of subtlety. If I forgot to do a chore, it was a pattern of irresponsibility. If her daughter forgot, it was just a busy week. My father, caught between wanting peace and wanting to believe in his new wife's good intentions, rarely intervened. Over time, I learned to keep my head down and my feelings to myself. I watched as family traditions were rewritten. My mother's old recipes replaced. My childhood photos quietly moved to the back of the shelf. I was still living in my own home, but it no longer felt like mine. I was the outsider, tolerated but never truly welcomed, and I learned to survive by staying quiet and invisible. She didn't start with threats. She started with tears. My stepmother's voice trembled as she spoke, about family harmony and how hard things had been since my mother passed. She painted herself as the struggling matriarch, holding everything together for my father's sake. "You know your little stepbrother needs extra tutoring," she sniffled, dabbing her eyes with a tissue. "And your stepsister's medical bills? We're barely making it work. If you keep your share, it will tear this family apart." She leaned in, lowering her voice to a whisper. "Your father's health isn't what it used to be. Stress could ruin him. Is money really worth more than his peace of mind?" Her words twisted around my heart, guilt pressing down until I could barely breathe. She made it sound like I was selfish for even hesitating, like my inheritance was a weapon I was holding against the people I was supposed to love. For a moment, I almost believed her. I almost picked up the pen, ready to sign away my future just to make the tension disappear. But then I saw the calculation in her eyes, the way she watched me for weakness. That's when I realized her tears were just another tool, and I was the target. My hand hovered over the pen, her words echoing in my mind. For a split second, I wanted to give in, just to end the pressure, to stop feeling like the villain in my own home. But something inside me hardened. I looked up and met her gaze, searching for any trace of genuine concern. All I saw was calculation, a flicker of impatience behind her practiced sadness. I set the pen down and slid the papers back across the desk. "I need time to think," I said quietly. Her smile faltered just for a moment, before she recovered and told me to do what's best for everyone. But I could feel the shift in the air. I wasn't just being asked to sacrifice. I was being set up. That night I lay awake replaying every conversation, every odd glance, every secretive phone call I'd overheard. This wasn't just about money. There was something else, something she was desperate to keep hidden. I decided then that I wouldn't sign anything until I knew the whole truth. If she wanted a fight, I'd give her one. But this time I'd be ready. I started my search quietly, careful not to raise suspicion. Late at night, I scrolled through the family computer, digging into old emails and financial records. I listened at doorways when my stepmother took hushed phone calls, jotting down names and numbers I didn't recognize. The more I looked, the more cracks I found in her perfect story. There were payments to an unfamiliar account, transfers labeled as consulting fees, and at the series of withdrawals that didn't match any family expenses. I found a folder of scanned documents hidden deep in her, bank statements from an account my father didn't know existed, with thousands of dollars moving in and out every month. One night I overheard her on the phone, her voice sharp and urgent. "He can't find out. Not until it's done." My heart pounded as I realized she wasn't talking about me. She was talking about my father. The secret wasn't just about my inheritance. She was hiding something much bigger. A mountain of debt. Or maybe even another family she supported in secret. The pieces started to fit together. Her desperation to get my signature wasn't just greed. It was survival. If my father found out, everything she'd built would collapse. I copied every file, took photos of every document, and saved every voicemail. By the end of the week, I had a digital arsenal of proof. I wasn't just protecting my share anymore. I was about to reveal the truth that could destroy her carefully constructed world. Just when I thought I was fighting this battle alone, help arrived from the last place I expected. My father's longtime friend, Mr. Patel, had always been a quiet presence at family gatherings, a man who noticed everything but rarely spoke. One afternoon, he caught me in the hallway, his eyes kind but serious. "You look tired," he said gently. "If you ever need advice, you know where to find me." Something in his tone made me trust him. I took a chance and shared what I'd discovered. To my relief, he didn't dismiss me or tell me to drop it. Instead, he nodded, saying he'd suspected something was wrong for months. Mr. Patel offered to help me, organize the evidence, and suggested the best way to present it so my father would have no choice but to listen. He even found a few missing documents I'd overlooked, tucked away in old files from his days as the family's accountant. With his support, my fear turned into determination. I wasn't just a scared daughter anymore. I was someone with a plan, and for the first time I believed I could win. The day of the family meeting, the air was thick with tension. My stepmother sat at the head of the table, her smile brittle. My father beside her, looking tired and confused. I took my seat quietly, folder in hand, heart pounding but my face calm. When my stepmother tried to start the meeting with small talk, I interrupted. "Before we discuss anything else, I have something to show you, Dad." I laid out the documents, bank statements, emails, and the hidden account details, one by one. I played the voicemail I'd recorded, her voice unmistakable as she talked about keeping secrets. My father's eyes widened as he scanned the evidence, his hands trembling. My stepmother's face went pale. She tried to laugh it off, calling me paranoid and ungrateful, but the proof was too detailed. Too damning. Mr. Patel quietly confirmed the authenticity of every document. The room fell silent as the truth settled in. My father looked at my stepmother, betrayal and heartbreak written across his face. Other relatives, who had always believed her stories, now stared at her in disbelief. She tried to protest, but every denial only made her look more desperate. The power she'd held over the family evaporated in an instant. For the first time, I saw my father truly see me, not as a problem to be managed, but as someone who had saved him from a devastating lie. The family's loyalty shifted, and the stepmother who had demanded my silence was left with nothing but her own exposed secrets. In the hours that followed, the family unraveled. My stepmother retreated to her room, but the damage was already done. Relatives who had once praised her warmth and generosity now whispered about deception and greed. My father sat alone in the living room, staring at the documents spread across the coffee table, his face heavy with the weight of betrayal. He didn't speak for a long time. When he finally looked, his eyes were red and tired. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I should have seen it. I should have protected you." Those words broke something inside me, but they also healed something deeper. For the first time in years, my father saw me, not as the difficult child or the outsider, but as the one who had risked everything to save him from a lie. In the days that followed, my stepmother's hold on the family crumbled. Her hidden accounts were frozen, her debts exposed, and her reputation shattered beyond repair. My inheritance was secured, but the real victory wasn't the money. It was the moment my father held my hand and said, "You were always my daughter." I just forgot to show it. That was enough. Looking back, I realized the hardest part wasn't uncovering the truth. It was believing I deserved to fight for it. For years, I let someone else decide my worth, shrinking myself to fit their version of family. But the moment I refused to sign away my future changed. Your inheritance isn't just money. It's your identity, your place, your voice. Never let anyone pressure you into giving that up. If you've ever faced family betrayal or been made to feel like an outsider in your own home, share your story in the comments. Subscribe to Void Revenge Tales for more true tales of justice.